Primordial Radio.
Primordial Radio, it is release day Friday, my favorite day of the week, and so delighted for the guest that we have joining us today. It is someone that you are familiar with and are going to be even more familiar with once we get past Saturday the 29th of April at KK Steel Mill in Wolverhampton for the Primordial General Mayhem. More on that later, but right now, joining me on the show is the frontman for Those Damn Crows, Shane Greenhall. Dude, how you doing, man?
How are we, buddy? Great to see you, Pete.
All good, man. All good. So, as we're doing this, you are getting ready for the UK tour, which is coming up here around the album Inhale, Exhale. This tour's been a long time coming, but also as well, sold out shows, loads of upgrades. It's a very exciting time for Those Damn Crows right now.
It really is, man. It's like the most work we've done in 2 years. So it's incredible playing these, you know, sort of going on tour with Monster Truck recently. That was amazing, and doing like download and stuff and these one-off shows. But to get back to doing what we love doing, a consistent tour, our own headline tour, is wonderful, man. It's just super busy right now in the Crow camp.
You mentioned Download Festival, and you played the main stage at Download Festival. It was a really poetic moment from our side as well, because we do this thing at Download where we, as the Primordial community, we meet up and we do a photo by the dog. Although the dog's disappeared now, which is a great shame. But we do the photo, and you were playing in the background. I remember looking back and going, "Wow, there's got to be 40,000 people watching Those Damn Crows now." Do you even get a chance to process that on stage, or is it more like stay focused?
Yeah, it was a surreal sort of 5 minutes before you go on. Basically, you're backstage and you're basically walking around all the production of Iron Maiden, because it was Iron Maiden Day, and you're looking at all the props and stuff, and then you're like, wow, and then like you're going on in 5 minutes, and then you know, if you're brave enough to take a peek behind the curtain to see the crowd, and you're like, how is there so many people this early to come and watch us? You know, because we're under no illusion, but you know, we still got a long way to go. So like, we were just, it was surreal, it was amazing, and about halfway, I'd say about the third song in, you could just see even more people coming into the field, and It was. I couldn't see the grass anymore, and that was a real moment. I remember halfway through the set, like, I can't see grass. It's just people. It's just heads, and I could see our merch in the crowd when I got down by the barrier, and it was mental. It was so surreal but amazing at the same time. Amazing memories.
Must be those moments where you think to yourself, "Yep, it's worth it. It's worthwhile," because under no illusions, I think pretty much everyone knows how difficult band life is now, day to day. But it's those moments that you know, really, that you grab and hold on to.
100%. And I had, this was our first real big show back since, you know, I've hurt my back and stuff because we'd cancelled a few shows, and I had that psychological thing in my head thinking, is it going to hold up? Am I going to be okay? I hadn't done any sort of cardio for ages, so I wasn't particularly fit. And yeah, we were on one of the biggest stages in the UK, so it was a real psychological, you know, warfare. It was, but when we did it, and I remember then at like a third song in, I kind of relaxed, and I kind of just, as you said, who knows if we play that stage again? I'm hoping we will. Touching wood.
Further up the bill, keep going, man. Well, that's it. You know, you've played the main stage now, so keep going, keep going.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
At some point, you know, everyone knows it. Download's got to get those new headliners as well. That's a whole other conversation, but it does need to happen. Now, so Inhale, Exhale. The new album is out now via Earache Records, and I think, yeah, this is quite interesting because I feel like Point of No Return, because that came out in 21. That was sort of, the backdrop of that was the pandemic, I guess. So that, yeah, you probably are, oh, that's a pandemic. I think you're the first band where, like, I feel like I'm really speaking to where it's like, this is the post-pandemic album. So just give us a bit of an insight of, like, the backdrop of this album and how it came about, and where you were as a band and as people as you were putting Inhale, Exhale together.
That's a great question, man. And quite rightly, like, Point of No Return, I've said this, like, if that was the album where I was asking all the questions, I feel like Inhale and Exhale are answering them now, because COVID happened, that 2 years where everybody down tools and you couldn't do what you normally do as a band, and it was surreal for me as a writer. Like, I didn't realize how much I'm dependent on other people, like connecting with others and going out and seeing the world. I'm very observant, and those little conversations you have with people, with family, with your friends, and then you can almost put that into subconsciously into how you write then, and from other people's perspectives, or try and put yourself in other people's shoes. That was no more. There was 4 walls, and you were writing from a very personal perspective on hoping that life gets back to some sort of normality, and how we took for granted all that stuff. So it was very a reflective, therapeutic sort of, but at the same time, not sure, like completely not sure at all. If when Ulrich turned around and said that we need to do another album, we were like, what do you mean? We haven't done anything with Point of No Return. We've done a small little tour. They're like, well, 2 years has gone, like, so you need to move forward. So we were all in that. Okay, we had songs kind of there or thereabouts, some demos and stuff, but it was very difficult for me to write when there was nothing inspirational to write about other than this doom and gloom.
Happened, I guess.
But then what happens is you open that door of, okay, let's write from my perspective. Like certain songs, like See You Again on the album, was when are we going to see the fans again? When are we going to get to that point of normality again? So it was about the dark, and obviously a lot of things, like traumatic things, were happening within the band, and friends and family that we knew were obviously, some people were dying in the COVID, in the pandemic. So again, bringing all that in and trying to, put it all into this album was kind of difficult. And it's the first time I've not struggled with it, but it's definitely a new side of the coin, which I've never experienced before, because it's always been there at reach. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it's almost kind of like if someone said, be creative. Okay. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
Yeah, where the inspiration isn't there. Yeah. But I suppose when writers are put in a situation, then all they can do is write about how they are in that situation, and it then flowed a lot quicker than the initial thought of, well, what am I going to write about? I'm stuck in a room with 4 walls. And then you start to dig deeper as in why and what's happening and trying to make sense of it all. And then before you know it, you're right in. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, and the songs are coming together. And I think as the songs come together, and we're going to go through every track by track, but I listened to the album earlier today, and as an album, this to me feels like the heaviest album you've done, particularly with the first couple of tracks that we've got opening up here. Was that intentional, or is that just perhaps maybe a little bit extra anger or frustration coming out? But it feels like a heavier album for CROWS.
Yeah, I think it's got a better mix of everything. Like the even though there are a couple of tracks that are quite heavy, there's and I think this is Dan Weller, our producer, who's really helped this with the sound of the album. Even if it's a ballad, say, or This Time I'm Ready, and then goes into a heavy part of the song, there's this ambient depth sonically that kind of, it happens in all our songs. Heavy, there's this, I don't know what it is, I don't even know how to describe it, but he had me doing these tricks on the microphone where I was singing all the way through, and then he put a lot of reverb on it and chopped it up and stuff, and it became this weird sort of ambient sound that's all the way through the record. So even when it's a hard, heavy tune, you've still got in the background. Even when it's a lighter song, you've got that in the background. And it was the glue for Inhale Exhale. The shit that happens in life, and it was, still carries on, and it almost felt like that ambient music. That was life carrying through, no matter what the experience we were going through. Do you know what I mean? It sounds very arty and very thing, but the whole album was based around it. It was
no, it's interesting because I feel like that ambient sound definitely becomes a little less ambient towards the end of the album. On the last two tracks, there's definitely like a heavy beginning in the in the production on the last two tracks. But we'll come to that. But let's get into track 1 now. Fill the Void. So it's a very, very heavy start to the album. Would you say this is the heaviest song from Those Damn Crows?
Possibly, yeah. Maybe. I think you're right. I mean, Devil in My Pocket is quite... I suppose that's a bit... The tempo is different on that. So maybe... Yeah, maybe you're right, bud. Maybe so.
Could be.
Yeah, I think that the whole message behind this song was I had this image of me... it was like a hole in the ground. It was a grave. And I can't remember digging the grave. But I'm there with this spade, this shovel, and then I look and there's my gravestone. And then I'm quickly filling.
It's like a nightmare that you had.
Yeah, it was like this vision dream I had, and I was putting the earth back in like quickly, like thinking, am I gonna almost like Goodfellas? They're gonna whack me, but so I quickly put the earth back in, and then it was that visual thing became the conversation I have with myself many times. I always talk to myself. But I think it's important to have those strong conversations. It's almost like dragging yourself out of the grave and filling that void. So that then was the idea behind the whole song, really. Yeah, the pressures we put on ourselves, the stress of it all.
I mean, I love that because it's kind of like this is a song about sort of digging your own grave, and this isn't just the heaviest song that Those Damn Crows do. This is like the most metal song that those. When you think about the whole context of that. Yeah. So let's get to it. This is Those Damn Crows, track 1, Fill the Void. Primordial Radio, that is track 2 from the new album from Those Damn Crows, Inhale, Exhale, which is out now via Earache Records. So stream it, buy it wherever you can. Loads of vinyl options. In-stores are happening too. We'll come on to that in just a little bit. But Shane, I kind of felt like that song could almost be like a WWE entrance theme. Like it's... this goes back to the sort of the big ambience that you've got going on with this album. So just tell us a little bit about Takedown.
Ronnie would love to hear you say that, but he loves his WWE. Yeah, no, it is exactly that, bud. I mean, it's all about the feeling when someone challenges you, and I'm a bugger, man. Like, I love a challenge. It's like, especially someone says you can't do something, I'm like, watch me. Like, it's almost like, the red rag to a bull. But
like Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
Exactly, bro.
Like, you chicken? Like, what? You said what?
Yeah, totally. So I love that when someone thinks I'm not capable of something, I'm like, watch me. So, but also, how you can be that way with yourself. You know what I mean? You're like, you're not good enough, or you're imposter. You can't do that. Like that can be really damaging too. So Takedown is all about that. Really, it's about the people that try and stop you from being what you want to be, but also you've got that capability too. And it's you're not taking me down. Fighting another day, and to rise above and soar, as the song says, above the negativity, I guess.
And I think when it comes to music and creativity, I think the worst critics, it tends to be yourself. Like beating yourself up and going, oh, it's not good enough, not this, not that. So you can be at war with yourself, I think, in album making.
100%. And I'm finding that the more I write songs for this band, that is a constant conversation I have with myself. I think that started from Sick of Me on the last album. Yeah, that really opened up that door. And I didn't realize how much my family do it too. My family, my father and my uncle in particular, they talk to themselves regular. Like my father's no longer with us, but they do it regular, and it must be obviously passed on to me, because I find myself sometimes I'm talking to myself, and my son will say, "You all right, Dad?" So yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do it all the time. Like, I talk to myself in the house. I talk to the cat a lot because I work from home. So, okay, sometimes like, you talk to it like nothing. I'm just going through my to-do list for today. Don't worry about it. Definitely a thing. So we'll get to track 3 on the album, and then we'll get into track 4 as well. Actually, yeah, both of these songs did really well on the Primordial charts, which was great to see. So we'll get into track 3 now with Man on Fire. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about this song.
I suppose if if Takedown is the challenge, like Man on Fire is the aftermath. Like you've come through it, is having that self-belief, the confidence. So the good side of those conversations you have yourself when sometimes you're saying, you're not capable of doing this. This is the inner belief. And we've experienced it as a band. I've experienced it as an individual where you're kind of like aware and confident of what your capabilities are, and you're assessing the situation, and they've almost like talked over you. You're like you're not even meant to be here, and then we go and do our thing, and it's like holy shit, you know. And I love the idea of no one sees you come in. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and then the last, and then you go and do your thing, and you're free as a bird, and they're like, how did that happen? You know, they're looking back, and I think the line is, I'm a man on fire, you're the last to know. Because they had no idea it was coming. I love that spontaneity thing. It's the underdog. It's like the Welsh football team, man. That's exactly what it's about. In the Euros, do you know what I mean?
The Welsh football team has done great.
Apart from a World Cup, but they were.
Swiftly moving on from that, let's get into this now. Track 3 from the new album, Inhale, Exhale. This is Man on Fire. Primordial Radio, that is track 4 from the new album, Inhale, Exhale, from Those Damn CROWS. Delighted to be joined by frontman Shane Greenhall as we are going through track by track of the new album. As I say, it is out now via Earache Records, so make sure you go grab a copy of the album. And so, Wake Up Sleepwalker, Shane, I'm just wondering, like, because the start of the album, you talked about that sort of nightmare scenario of you digging your own grave and filling it up. Is Wake Up Sleepwalker then in any way connected to Fill the Void, as, you know, you're sort of in that translucent state of like, wake up, you know, get out of this situation?
Yeah, kind of. It's meant to be upfront and personal, I suppose. It's supposed to make you think about, I don't know, today's society, I guess. Like how technology is almost forcing you, drip feeding you, oh, go and buy this, ads or what have you, or the big social and business conglomerates. They have so much power and so much say. So Wake Up was about just that, really, how we're always looking down on our phone, and, you know, the world is a big old place, like, look up, wake up, I guess.
Yeah, and it's also, I think this is a very can be difficult areas, like, unless you're a straight out and out punk band that's just kind of going like, you know, right as it is, but like that isn't for every band. But it can be difficult to go into these areas, I guess, without getting into the messy area of politics.
Well, that's it, man. It's like algorithms, you know, they get to tell you what you see, and that's concerning for me. You've got to go looking specifically, or this program takes over what you've liked over the last week, 2 weeks, and then it just drips you to that. It's like you never see new stuff unless you go looking for it, and that concerns me, especially with kids these days. They're almost being internally programmed to, this is what you like, because you clicked it once. Do you know what I mean? That's just curiosity. It doesn't mean you should be drip fed that constantly. Or so it's a real, it's a borderline, isn't it? Like everything, really. It's like how much is control and how much is spontaneity, and what you don't even know you will like until you come across it. It's mad. It's a crazy world.
I talked about this on the Primordial podcast a couple of weeks back, because there was, I can't remember how we sort of got to it, but there was around the issues of clickbait. And so you see all of the different tactics and all of the things that are being used. And it's like, well, ultimately, the power in that sense really can rest with the people, you as an individual, because if you click on something that we could, you know, deem as like, okay, that's high quality, that's good journalism, or that's a good interview, whatever it is, then those algorithms will learn that. But if you click on that, what is so very obviously clickbaity thing, it will serve up more and you will get more. So I think as individuals, we do have a certain amount of power to change our own behaviors, which then can seep into the wider issue.
I guess that's the point, bud. If you're aware of that, then you have that mentality. Absolutely, it can almost be personalized to you. But I'm just thinking of, obviously I got young kids and stuff, and it's just that worries the shit out of me, man. They could be, it's like they're on the conveyor belt going through the powers that be, and like, oh, I love this, you know, I love that. Why? Because it said so. You know what I mean? Rather than
because I saw it on TikTok. Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 nieces, and that they're already absolute whizzes on TikTok and YouTube, and I obviously, I'm an old man, technology kids, and all of that. But yeah, I totally get it. It can be disconcerting. I think the point that you brought up though was the main thing, was that so much power rests in so few hands about what we like and what we don't like. I think from a band perspective, that's disconcerting as well, because I know many bands have said this to me over the past few years, is that we can't even speak to our own audience. We have 100,000 followers on Spotify or YouTube, whatever it might be, and yet we can't talk to our fans. Like, that for me is a concern. I think that there definitely is there's a solution in the making there, I think, for bands to be able to actually communicate better with their own fans. Yeah, exactly. If it's so wide and so big, then why is it so constructed? And I don't like that. I don't like anybody having power over me, who I can talk to, what I can do. That's not good. That's really not good. I don't know what the answer is, bro, but it's all very catered for the powers that be to advertise whatever they want and to make us see what we want to see rather than what we should see, I guess. Yeah, I don't have all the answers myself, and I think I need someone much more smarter and intellectually savvy, particularly on the tech and coding front. But for me, the one word that kind of, when I've thought about this, is like democratization of this. Like, can you take some of that power back and give it back to individuals? Can bands be more in control of how they can interact with their fans? So if we can democratize things a little bit, then I think things could be in a better place. But I do say that as an absolute layman. No, I agree though. Wanting things to be better. Yeah, sign me up for that. I'm more that than what we got now. So absolutely. Now, you mentioned that "Wake Up, Sleepwalker," it's supposed to be a very personal song, and I'm very aware that this next song is a very personal song. So I want to be mindful about talking about this. But it is a song that is about your dad that passed away 11 years ago. How difficult was it to pen down this song and really put yourself out there with this track? It's crazy bad, because when you write songs, you always call upon the emotions you've experienced. So even though I've written loads of songs with dad in mind, do you know what I mean? The loss and stuff, but I've never specifically made him the center point, the go-to place in a song, and the focus. So it was difficult, but what was happening at that time was Lloyd's dad was going through a bit of thing. He was going through a lot, and I know Ronnie's dad was going through a lot, and it was almost like it opened the gate for me to go there, because my boys were feeling it too, and they would understand and stuff. And then what happened was Lloyd's dad had an operation and is fit and well, and he was incredible. Ronnie's dad passed away, then Lloyd's mum, Dave's mum passed away, then Lloyd's mum passed away, and it was just like, holy shit, man. It's like, so wow. I had penned it beforehand. We'd gone in with the demo, and we were recording it, and Ronnie had to rush home from the studio to go and see his dad, because he was like, end of life type stuff. So and then the boys lost their parents, and it was just, so it's a really special song for the mostly because it just brought us all together. We could talk about it, and it was surreal actually. We were doing the video, and Shine was away doing his part, and we were all in this room with chairs, and we'd all had the suits on, so it was like we'd been to a funeral, and there we were having this chat about what it was like, well, when we found out and stuff, and it was really poignant, man, and it was really put things into perspective, and it was a beautiful moment. But perhaps we wouldn't have got into that even level of talking about it if we hadn't had the loss, and then the song. Do you know what I mean? It's just the timing's everything in life, obviously, and it just felt the right time to release it, put it on the album, just for everybody's experiences as well. Like, it's just albums are those moments in time, and that's where we were.
our parents had passed away, and we were talking about it.
It's like collective grief and healing, this song.
100%. Yeah, trauma will change you. Grief gives you a different perspective, and there we were all in a room talking about it all, and helping each other, and that's ultimately what the song is about.
Well, and I've seen many posts within our community pages here at Primordial, this song being very relatable and helping other people out as well, which is just one of the most beautiful and wonderful things about music. So this is Those Damn Crows with This Time I'm Ready. Primordial Radio, that is track 6 from the new Those Damn Crows album, Inhale, Exhale. That is I Am. I'm here with frontman Shane Greenhall as the guys are getting ready for the UK tour, and of course headlining the PGM later on in the year. More on that in just a little bit. But Shane, tell us about I Am. There's a lot of personal songs on here, but that sort of perhaps as it says on the tin, with a title like I Am.
Yeah. Again, self-awareness, realization of who we are is so important for our mental health and physical health, really. But I do feel like I've always done this. I'm quite hard on myself. I always want to push myself through those boundaries, because the minute you do that, you learn more about yourself. If it's comfortable, it's easy. That's another sort of term I always say. So it's about finding more out about yourself, and you've got to put yourself in those, positions where it is uncomfortable, but you'll reap the rewards.
Getting outside the comfort zone.
Because it's so easy to just go, not today. Oh, I'm going to do this today. Or, no, I'm not going to do that. It's so easy, and it's built in us. Again, those voices in your head, those conversations, sometimes are really good for you, but sometimes they limit you. And it's about being unapologetic and standing up sometimes against yourself and say, nah, I am this. I want to be this. So again, those conversations, man, this whole album is about conversations you have with yourself. And I guess it's that fine line, isn't it, between insanity, madness, and creativity. It's gotta be.
Yes. And I think there's various quotes about the fine line between genius and insanity. Many people were branded insane. Tesla and Einstein was frowned upon for many years by the scientific community, and that's just a handful of references off the top of my head. Yes, absolutely. I think the conversations that you have with yourself can be some of the most important. I think when it comes to being outside the comfort zone, though, I think there's only one or two occasions where I feel like that wasn't of benefit. But the vast majority of time when I get outside my comfort zone, I feel like, yep, I got something from that. I learned something that I can take forward in life in different scenarios now.
Yeah, absolutely that, but warts and all as well. Accepting who you are, know your limitations, but don't allow them to dictate who you are. It's like, okay, that's my limitation, but let's push. Let's keep pushing. And I'm a firm believer in that, man. Don't settle for just what you're capable of. Keep pushing. Because something always good comes of it. Always. Even if you're knackered, say if it's the gym, even if you're knackered there sweating and going, oh, I've recently hurt my back and stuff, but it doesn't stop me from the mentality of, now I'm like, I have to work out as a precaution that I don't get injured again, And you could argue that because I didn't do too much through COVID, was that the reason why I got injured? So all these things, play in your head, and you can analyze it and put any twist you want to anything. But the truth is, are you being honest? Are you being with yourself? And I'd say about 8-9 times out of 10, it's like, I don't need to do that. Do I need to do that? Yeah, go and do it. If you're asking that question, go and do it. Then find out the answer. And if it works, it works.
Very easy to put things off. You're like, oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow, and it doesn't need, don't need to deal with that now. But eventually, that problem will just fester away and build and build and build and build and get worse, and then eventually it gets to a point where it's like, it is now an unavoidable problem because it's become this huge thing, and then that becomes much more difficult to deal with than if you just dealt with it in the first place.
Yeah.
Funny, as an analogy, I'm going through all of this in house renovations now. I'm like, oh, God. I need to go through this pain now, because if I leave that, it's going to cause me a lot of headaches down the line.
You're absolutely right. It's so funny. This album has made me really center and focus on not so much the big picture. I was very a couple of years ago looking like where I need to be. There's the goal. That's the big picture. Now I'm like realizing, and it's the reason why the album's called Inhale, Exhale, is that when the shit hits the fan, when life throws you that curveball, how you act or react to it is very important. And then if you do the small stuff like controlling your breathing, perhaps you won't react, but you'll respond in a better way. And I'm having that all the way through the album is the reason why it's called Inhale, Exhale. All these songs that have come out in the form they have. It's that almost maturity of growing to a certain age and having the experiences and then realizing, could I have done something different? So it's asking the right questions of myself and being honest and open about it. And I think if you do the small stuff instead of looking over there, I think you'll be able to cope with it better here and you get there much quicker. So without sounding like a Welsh Buddha.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, just like, small steps in the valleys,
that's
get
it,
the top of Snowdon, like,
throws a pebble into the pond and watch the ripples, all that.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, it's so good. Now, this next track 7, you briefly mentioned it earlier about a song of, seeing the fans again, so I feel like there's certainly a real air of positivity about this song. Yeah,
I wrote this song years ago, mind. It was about 4 years ago. And I had the ideas and we were jamming it in a rehearsal room in Birmingham. I showed the boys and myself and Ronnie were jamming it. And then went on the back burner. I had the hook line, I had the melodies and stuff. And it wasn't until COVID happened and, that realization then of see you again. And then it became all about the bands. All about the fans. And that rapport we had with them, obviously we started up CROWS and we got to see them and talk to them, communicate with them through that, but it wasn't like it was. I'm wondering if it was ever going to be the same again. So it's all about the fans, all about just how much we need them, just how much I need them. It's all about the fans.
And I feel like the world that we've come back out to, I'm not sure if you've sort of had the same experience, but perhaps in the sort of initial first burst, so for us it was when we did the PGM with Skindred, September 2021, I think we'd officially come out of lockdown 2 months before, and there was that sort of initial burst, like, way, life's back.
Yeah.
But since then, over the past year or two, it is much more messy, and when I see people now, it's like, how you doing? And previously, prior to COVID, everyone would be like, oh yeah, doing all right, doing okay. Like, now, you go out like, how you doing? It's like, well, I'm hanging in there. And I feel like people are being much more honest about that now. And the world that we've come out to post-COVID, I think is a lot messier than we ever thought it was going to be.
Completely agree. We've had people come to shows and say that, like, thank you, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even come out. Like, it's almost like they've got to remind themselves, when you're away from the world for 2 years, it's amazing how quick we adapt to a situation. And because then you don't see anybody for 2 years, it's like, okay, that's my new life. But again, it's like you gotta tell yourself, like, there was a life before that, and we gotta get back to how you were and where you're going again, that whole concept. And I've totally heard that, bud. And if it wasn't for you boys, I wouldn't have come out tonight. I'm going to go home now because it's a bit too overwhelming. Those gradual, it's a massive shutdown. It's a massive shock to everybody culturally. And it's like, now that became their norm. Now we got to try and work backwards, I guess, in order to move forward. And hopefully live shows and from all bands are going to help people realize that, people are good. Spending time with people is a necessity. We have to do it. It's just taking away all those anxieties about it. I don't know what the answer is there. That's very difficult to do. But hey, maybe it starts with inhale, exhale.
Yeah.
But
deep breath. Yeah.
That's it, bro.
Deep breath, indeed. Yeah, a huge deep breath. So let's get to this now. Track 7 from Inhale, Exhale. Take that deep breath, folks. This is See You Again. Primordial Radio, that is track 8 from the new album from Those Damn Crows, Inhale, Exhale. Really an album where it's just taking that big, deep, collective breath. Lay it all on me, Shane. Quite literally, lay it all on me. Tell me, man, what's this one about?
Oh, man. Okay, so this song is like the pushing and pulling of life. It was actually brought to my attention with my daughter, I love her. I could see her struggling with some things in her life. But it was more about the struggle she had with other people having their views of her, school, and she's part of drama and stuff. And it's the worst feeling in the world as a parent, you know, seeing that. When you see how perfect they are, so and they're coming at you with people are saying this about me. And I just remember sitting on the sofa, we knocked the TV off, and she kind of rested her head on my chest, and she as she was talking, I could feel she was getting heavier, like physically, like the mentally and physically, what she was carrying was just letting go, and it was like it's all coming on to me, which is an amazing feeling as a father. You think you know you're doing something right, that she can share stuff with you and stuff. So it killed me seeing her like that. And then again, as always, when something affects you emotionally and mentally like that, boom, it comes out in a piece of music when you write it down. So she is the reason for this song, but it just tied in beautifully about, you know, just how other people's opinions of you can bring you down like that. When we have to build our wall, man. Like, allow stuff to come through and absolutely and when it's critical, what's the terminology? Constructive criticism. Take that all day. But when it's just flat out at you, you've got to build that wall around you and just say, hey, that's not coming through because it's bullshit. That's not me.
And we touched on it earlier, but it's just so easy with the trolls and everything, and you probably guys get it on your socials too, and it's just like, yeah, you just have to, you know, walls down, be like, no, I'm not responding to that. Like, I'm just not even going there.
Absolutely. You got to filter some of that stuff out. And again, it's the minute you know your self-worth and you realize who you are, you can be pretty, well, skin like a rhino. You know what I mean? You've got to be, man. You've got to be, because the world can be beautiful and brutal, as I keep saying about this album, and that goes for the people in it too, you know, not just life in general. So,
well, that shows on the artwork actually, where it's like you've got this sort of flowery part of the lung, and then there's, you know, it's life and death ultimately.
100%, 100%
on the album artwork.
And even though, you know, it's such a physical thing, like inhale, exhale, like you take your first breath in, you start living, you that last breath leaves your body and you die. But the stuff that in between, where it affects your breathing, it affects your mental state, you get panic, it's the anxiety kicks in, and then you start believing all these things that you've heard about yourself when it's not you. It's somebody's interpretation of someone they don't even know. They're judging you, and that's what I saw in my daughter. And so that's what Lay It All On Me is about, is tell me what's going on, and I'll reassure you, because you are this, this, and this. And that's not bias. That's just, you've got to look at the good stuff in your life, because people will tell you the bad all day long. So you've got to build. That's all people do for the most part. Yeah, you've got to build that wall, man. You've got to build that defense mechanism.
Everybody's a critic. Oh, look at that. I literally just got an email through saying Those Damn Crows, Takedown, new single out now. So your team is on it, dude. Your team is on it. So we got 2 tracks left, and we'll play Find a Way, and then we'll talk about the shows that are coming up, including the PGM. But I'd like to just get into track 9 now, Find a Way. And I felt that there was sort of a real grungy feel to the opening of this track. And I feel like that ambience that we talked about earlier, for me, that really shone through on these the ending to these to the album with these 2 tracks coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we loved all the grunge stuff, the 90s stuff. It's so apparent in our music, not just on this album and others too, but maybe it is more focused on this one. Find a Way. I guess, is when you are reminded about something in your past and it hurts, and it's very difficult to just move forward from it when you're being reminded sometimes. And that happens in my life quite regular. If I'm not careful, I'll focus on the past and where it took me, as opposed to like, right, that's done now, like move on. Like it's kind of tough to do sometimes, but yeah, telling yourself we'll find a way to get through it is again telling yourself that not everything is plain sailing, and the struggle sometimes is just as important as the good stuff. Probably more so. We finding out who you are.
Me and my girlfriend Katie, we have this little saying. Like, I have a little plush toy and I have a little sign of Dory. Just keep swimming. Like, find a way.
That's it,
just
man.
Keep swimming. Just keep going. Like, it'll be messy, but you figure it out. Like, you know, it won't be the straight line that you want, but you'll get there.
Exactly that. I think I said on Crowcast the other day about Dory. And I love those messages in films, especially with the Disney stuff with the kids growing up, because they're important messages that sometimes as adults we'll just go, it's just a kid's film. But there's like little poignant stuff like that, man. If we can all apply that in our life, it's like, because I think we'll be able to adapt more when the shit hits the fan, I guess. But yeah, we always find, everyone finds a way. Everyone. Like, it may not be the way you wanted it to go, but 9 times out of 10, it does work itself out. But you just got to, as you quite rightly said, just keep moving, man. Just keep moving forward. Sounds like a Rocky quote as well, doesn't it?
It does. A Dory Rocky quote.
There we go.
Love that. Let's get to this now. Track 9, Find a Way. Primordial Radio, that is track 9 from the new album from those damn CROWS, Inhale, Exhale. And every time I listen to that now, Shane, I'm just going to be thinking about Dory. You know, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, which is awesome. Now, so many things are coming up. You've got the UK tour, and I see you doing loads of in-store signings, which is great because not every band does those anymore, man. So that it's great you sort of rebooted those back up, and man, you got a lot booked in, like when I saw the amount that you were doing.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. But it's also a wonderful opportunity because to see the fans, basically, to come in and actually see the face-to-face, you know, they bought the album. That means the world. Like, and there's a real pride then when you're signing that. We've just had all the albums sent to us now, and it was thousands of them, and we've all just signed them all and are going back to Europe to send out to the people that bought it. But when you see the person physically bringing their album and you're signing it, and you can have that little, you know, discussion and conversation, that's everything for us. Our fans are incredible, so it's a real great opportunity just to do that. There'll be a few performances in the record stores as well, and yeah, and then the shows in the night. So it's mad. Almost feels like we're on the West End. There's like 2 or 3 shows a day.
Yes, a day. Yeah, you got your matinee, and then then the big show in the evening. But the UK tour, of course, was booked. Shows sold out, got upgraded, then sold out. That's absolutely huge, man. You must be buzzing with how the shows have been going.
Yeah, it's truly special, man. It takes like all the anxiety away. Like when it's sold out very early, we're like, we can relax now. People are coming to see us. Do you know what I mean? And that might sound, I think every band does that. You put yourself out in that position and they go, okay, yeah, we'll have some of that. That's an amazing feeling, man. And for it to sell out as quick as it did, I think there's only tickets left now for the Swansea gig, the arena show, and there's not many for them either. So that's a wonderful place to be, and we thank the fans. And long may it continue.
Mm-hmm. And obviously before, you know, the UK tour, you know, a little bit of a gap, but then we will finally have, after, it'll be a full 12 months since the original date should have taken place, for the PGM at KK Steel Mill. Now, I know you played there yourselves in recently with Monster Truck. We're so looking forward to it. It's looking like it's going to be our biggest ever PGM in the history of the station, which is absolutely massive. And that, I've no doubt that is, you know, certainly because you guys, you know, are headlining that and the bill that is there together. You know, we've got Mason Hill and Ruse, and it's going to be such a special day. But I must admit, I cannot wait to see you guys, you know, take to that stage, because the amount of second time this happened to us, because we had Skin Red as our headlines and COVID derailed that, and then obviously, unfortunately, it was your back. So yeah, we haven't really had a headliner that's just been booked in like, okay, that works. We've always gone through it. So I genuinely cannot wait though, man. I feel like it's going to be such a special day for the PGM.
Oh man, we're so buzzed to be doing it, bud, and. You know, whenever you cancel shows because of injury, you just feel terrible. So I'm just so glad we get to do it again. We've had another opportunity to do it. And it's like all the stars have aligned, bud. So at KK's as well, which is a wicked venue. We love the guys there. It's always amazing night at the KK's. So, yeah, bud, it's going to be class. The bill is amazing. So just to be on top of that amazing tree is a great feeling. I was going to swear. It was a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
Yes, absolutely, and no doubt. Yeah, it's going to be such an amazing day. Yeah, we're super pleased with the bill that we put together. I know you're pretty close with the guys from Mason Hill as well. So I think when we managed to get them on, that was like, yes. It was just like, yes, everyone. Very, very happy about that. So no, yeah, Saturday 29th of April for the PGM. It's going to be the biggest show in the history of Primordial Radio. So please join us. We want you to be a part of that and get to hear all of these amazing songs live, because you've got a lot of new songs to play now. Because as you mentioned about Point of No Return, that never got its love, of course. So set lists must be looking a bit different now to when they were, even 18 months ago.
Yeah, 100%. It's almost taken a little bit of pressure, because obviously the new songs we have to put in, but then it's like, which ones are they replacing? So it is head work. I think we've changed the set list about 3 or 4 times, and it's still changing now. I think we got it now ready for the tour, but it's been difficult, man, because there are songs that from experience the Crow family and fans love.
Blink of an Eye, Rock and Roll Ain't Dead. Like, they're kind of the ones that you almost can't take out, I guess.
Exactly. They're definitely in. But then there are other crowd favourites too. And you're like, Then you're trying to work out a lesser evil, which one do you take out? Difficult. Easy to put songs in, but difficult to take songs out.
On crowd favorites, so what are you thinking are going to be the crowd favorites looking from the new album? So I like one thing I've always loved about working in music, and this is just a little geeky thing, is that you do have like the privilege of hearing music before it's released and hearing singles, or thinking, this song will be a great single. So I've always loved like guessing which songs will be the ones that actually go on to like become quite big, and sometimes right, sometimes wrong. But I think Fill the Void is going to be a massive tune, I think. Without a doubt, this time I'm ready. But any songs that you're feeling that you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is going to be one that's live?
It's so difficult to say, bud, because I feel, like you quite rightly said there, your singles and how it sounds on radio, on playlists, it's completely different to live. They're different animals. And what you think is like, yeah, this will get the crowd going. And I've seen it. It's like, it hasn't. So I don't know. I think just because of the emotional response we've had, This Time I'm Ready is going to be a big one. I agree with you. Fill the Void is class. We've played Wake Up already live. That's gone down really well. And I think Man on Fire is just going to get everybody shaking their frame and dancing like lunatics. So I think they're the ones. But who knows, man? Until we play them, could be completely wrong. Fans will tell us.
You never know, and that's why you have to go out and play them live, which we will be doing on your UK tour and at the PGM on the 29th of April. Shane, this has been such a pleasure to do this, man. We have got one more track to play from the album, so this is track 10, Waiting for Me. And when I listened to this track earlier, my first thoughts was like, oh, this has got like almost like an alt rock kind of vibe. There was like sort of bits of Foos and Queens, and a little bit more on that alternative side of rock.
Yeah, man, I love all that. Trent Reznor, I love Trent. So Nine Inch Nails, that vibe, the industrial type of attitude. I remember writing it and just being and dabbling with it in my home studio, and then bringing it to the studio, and it was almost like we had to this had to go on the album because it was different. It was something
definitely a different song for CROWS.
Yeah, sure. And it was something I kind of wanted to dabble in. Shiner did too. And then obviously having Dan Weller, the producer, who can manipulate sounds and vibes and, you know, in his way, it was just like the perfect fit, and there was no way we couldn't do it. It's a funny one, this word, because it's like a combination of a real experience, but then storytelling, fantasy, not sexually, but like, well, maybe it is. Who knows?
Well, you know, everyone's got their fantasies, man.
Exactly, man. But that insatiable look you get sometimes, and you're thinking, "Oh wow, that's an amazing connection." But then the naivety to think you know who that person is. You do not know who's behind the eyes, behind the doors, and that always fascinates me. You could be attracted to the wrong person, and the unknowing. And I guess that then rolls into how life is, but with the album and stuff, the unknowing, and nothing is concrete. You know what I mean? That little moment you have can just be a moment. It's not long term like anything. So that fascinated me, and that's what the song's about, really. It's like no one knows what goes on behind someone's mind. Someone's in someone's mind.
Bit of the not judging the book by the cover thing, neither positively nor negatively.
Exactly, but the outcome could be either or. Do you know what I mean? So that's the fascinating thing, man. You never know, and there's a lot of trust that goes into it, and then when you tie that in with Inhale, Exhale, that's exactly how life is. You know, you go about your life until a moment happens. Could be good, could be bad. But as Tom Hanks said once, it'll all pass. Whether it's good or bad, it will pass. And that's important to remember. So if it's good, hold on to it, live it, love it. But it is going to pass. And that's so crazy. So then you don't take it for granted. You don't take advantage. You take advantage of it, but don't take it for granted. And the same if it's bad, whatever state you're in, it will pass. Move forward, little Dory, Rocky.
Yes, just keep swimming. Next album from CROWS, a little cameo from Dory there. It's happening. It's happening. Shane, dude, oh man, such a pleasure. Best of luck with the UK tour and all the signings. The album is out now via Earache Records. Last album got to number 14, so top 10's going to happen, man. I'm not sure if you can. I'm not sure if I can, go to Paddy Power and put a bet on that. But I feel like my odds are going to be good. So yeah, let's see where it ends up. But yeah, if you want to help CROWS, support the band and help them chart as high as possible, because that stuff is important for a band. Please do go out and buy a copy of the album today. It is out via Earache Records. Shane, thank you so much for your time today, my friend.
Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. We'll see you on the tour. See you on the tour. See you at the PGM. This is track 10 from the new album, Inhale, Exhale, Waiting for Me. Thank you, bro.
Primordial Radio.